Libido and sexual arousal. This tantric style breath sequence is designed to cultivate sexual appetite, manifest intimate desires, and help us form a deep connection with our partner through the exchange of sexual energy. We move through breathing exercises that help regulate the nervous system and decrease stress hormones so that lower testosterone availability. We also use breathing practices that increase arousal and sensitivity and lead to more intense orgasms. Years ago, one of my teachers explained to me the difference between love and attachment. Attachment, she said, is about wanting somebody to make us happy. Love is about wishing happiness for someone else. Unfortunately, most of us confuse the need for others to make us happy with love. Another term often conflated with attachment is connection. In yoga, many practitioners both question and struggle to fully understand the philosophy of non-attachment. Why wouldn't we want to be attached to the people we love? This returns to substituting attachment for love. When we lose a loved one, we feel pain. Pain comes from the separation we feel from the loss of that person. Connection is the root of love, and separation is the cause of all suffering. When we attach to something or someone, the attachment exists because that person or thing has made us happy. In turn, we want the people and things to which we attach to remain unchanged so they will continue to be a source of happiness in our lives. Unfortunately, nothing stays the same, so when we lose what we identify as our source of happiness, there is suffering from the separation. When we lose someone we love, whether it's by way of death or end of a relationship, we immediately feel that separation and the accompanying suffering. The pain eventually fades because we realize we don't need that person to make us happy. Instead, we feel only our connection and love for that person. The pain diminishes because the attachment was an illusion, but the love remains because our connection is real. Because we are all connected, time, distance, and even death cannot separate us. I'm not saying attachments are wrong or that we shouldn't be attached to the people we love. To be attached is human, and so is suffering. However, understanding the difference between connection and attachment can help us through times when loss creates pain. There are many ways to express love and show affection. At the center of intimacy and love are connection. We often use sex to feel a more profound sense of connection with each other. Physically, it is the closest we can be to someone. Emotionally, intimacy creates a space that allows us to be open and vulnerable to each other. When the sex is good, the emotions and the feelings are that much more intense, and we feel even more unified. The problem arises when we confuse sex for connection or try to use sex to try and feel connected when the connection isn't there. Often, our expectations of what sex should be creates sexual dysfunction. We think we need to look or perform a certain way or have sex so many times a week or day to be adequate lovers. The more pressure we put around it, the worse it can be. If intimacy is about connection, then to genuinely connect to a partner, we need to connect to ourselves. Healthy relationships start with love, appreciation, and acceptance. If this is the foundation of your relationship, you and your partner will grow, change, and develop in a healthy way that creates a deeper connection. But if you think your partner is unappealing, inadequate, and in need of change, your relationship will likely be dysfunctional and unhealthy, and your sex life will suffer as a result. Our relationships with our bodies are no different. If you think your body is disgusting and inadequate, then it is not your body that needs to change, but your relationship to it. We care for the things we love, not view them with disgust. You can't change your body and expect that your view of it will change. You must first change how you see yourself, how you love yourself, and even how you see yourself as being desirable. Affirmations such as, "I love myself and my body," are more powerful than all the sit-ups in the world. Ultimately, when you learn to love yourself, you learn how to take care of yourself, and then you learn how to feel good about yourself. Feeling good about yourself and being confident in your appearance are as essential to sexual function as being attracted to your partner. There are several possible reasons for low libido. It could have to do with a dysfunctional or stale relationship. It could stem from being busy or exhausted at the end of the day, too much stress at work, a lack of desire, or an underlying medical condition. If it is an issue with the relationship, usually the sex will suffer. So, to improve our libido, we need to work on the connection with our partner. Of course, this is an oversimplification of something quite complicated, but I do believe that most difficulties with intimacy can be solved through self-exploration, honesty, transparency, and, most of all, good communication. Great sex can improve a relationship and deepen the connection, but sex will not fix a bad relationship. And unfortunately, bad or infrequent sex and a lack of intimacy can severely harm a relationship. Of course, every relationship is different, and some people place more value on sex than others. Everyone has a different sex drive, different turn ons, and different desires. We should not compare ourselves to what we think is normal, because there is no normal. We need to understand and be open to our partner's needs and desires, as well as our own, and be willing to compromise. But, of course, this can only happen through clear and honest communication. Even people in healthy, intimate relationships struggle with their sex life or lack thereof. It can be easy to become complacent when it comes to sex, especially in a long-term relationship when it has become routine or lost importance. When we don't place value on sex, it is easy to make excuses for why we shouldn't put effort in. Without a healthy libido, we might choose to sleep or rest instead. Chronic stress, an overly active mind, an unbalanced nervous system, and hormones are the usual culprits. We need to manifest our sexual energy, cultivate intimate desires, and form deep connections to our partner while exchanging a flow of sexual energy. A lack of intimacy generally comes from a lack of presence. The more we are in the moment with our partner, the more deeply we can establish a bond of intimacy. Meditation and pranayama are powerful practices to train the mind to be present and less distracted. We can use the breath to alleviate some of the hindrances that suppress libido, such as high stress hormones and an autonomic nervous system imbalance. We can also use the breath to increase sexual energy and improve blood flow to sex tissues. This breath sequence can be done alone, but it is more powerful when it is done with your partner in an intimate setting where you can cultivate the sexual energy, be aroused by hearing your partner's breath, and let your deep connection add to the eroticism. Whether you are doing this practice alone or with a partner, focus your attention around your genitals throughout the practice. With every exhalation, send more energy there. You can keep your eyes closed and visualize your partner, or keep them open and gaze into each other's eyes or at the bodies. This breath practice can be a very intimate form of foreplay, and the physical touch is encouraged throughout. Warm-up. The warm-up uses the Rajas breath to stimulate the sympathetic nervous system and increase Rajas energy, the energy of passion and play. It is associated with new life and reproduction, and it's this type of energy that ignites sexual urges. This breath practice uses a longer inhale with a short, powerful, open-mouth sigh to cultivate Rajasic energy. It also adds a strong Ujjayi technique to the inhale. Both the Ujjayi inhalation and the sighing exhalation should be audible. These sounds, especially if you are listening to your partner's breath, can be quite arousing and have an autonomous sensory meridian, ASMR, effect, which can be erotic for some people. The warm-up starts with a 5-second Ujjayi inhalation and sighing exhalation, which you repeat 5 times. Then lengthen the inhalation to 8 seconds, repeat 5 times, then to 10 seconds, also repeating 5 times. Feel the energy of each exhale moving downwards and building in the genitals. If the increasing inhalation feels too complicated, you can stick with the middle ratio of 8:1 and repeat it for 15 rounds. It is also not necessary that you do the exact number of rounds. It can be more beneficial to do an intuitive number of rounds. This is true for all components of the breath sequence. Heat building. The heat building component combines Nadi Shodhana and Kapalabhati pranayama practices with short retentions. Nadi Shodhana balances Ida energy, which is the energy of receiving, nurturing, and intuition, with Pingala energy, which is the energy of power, assertiveness, and giving. All these qualities are necessary for the exchange of sexual energy with a partner. Add Kapalabhati by alternating 3 breaths per nostril, switching back and forth between the left and right sides. It's more important to have strong abdominal contractions on the exhale than to breathe fast. It's probably better to go a little slower so you can focus on the energetic cultivation. Do this practice for 10 breath cycles, 3 on the left and 3 on the right, equaling 1 cycle, and then follow the breath with an inner retention for 30 seconds. The retention after fast breathing is powerful at releasing stress hormones such as cortisol, which can lower the availability of testosterone. As you hold your breath, bring the sensation into your body so you can expand your sexual energy. Repeat this heat-building practice 3 times. Vitalizing. The vitalizing component brings us more into the parasympathetic nervous system. Sex is one of the few instances in which the sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous systems can be fully active simultaneously. Arousal, stimulation, and erections are functions of the parasympathetic nervous system, while orgasm and ejaculation are functions of the sympathetic nervous system. The goal is to regulate both systems to create balance, but also to highlight the parasympathetic nervous system to feel more relaxed, open, and connected. This practice utilizes Vishrama Vitri to add breath retention, increase CO2 levels, and stimulate the parasympathetic nervous system. You add Ujjayi to the inhalation to help maintain the passionate Rajasic energy you cultivated, and you add Brahmi to the exhalation. The humming from the Brahmi breath increases nitric oxide levels. Nitric oxide opens the blood vessels, which increases blood flow to the genitalia. The vasodilation in the genitals works similarly to the effects of drugs like Viagra and Cialis that enhance nitric oxide-mediated vasodilation in the erectile tissues. The vitalizing practice uses the standard Vishama Vitri breath ratio of 1 to 4 to 2 to 1. I suggest starting with 4 to 16 to 8 to 4. If that duration feels challenging, modify it 3 to 12 to 6 to 3. The breath ratio should be relatively easy, especially if your partner is not used to doing longer holds. If it's too challenging, it can bring you out of the moment, but you want the sequence to be long enough to build up your CO2 levels and stimulate the parasympathetic nervous system. Repeat this practice 10 times or for about 5 minutes. As you move through this practice, try to match the inhales and exhales with your partners, but keep the breath count silent. By practicing like this, you learn to listen to your partner, to feel their breath, and respond to their energy. This in itself is an amazing exercise for nonverbal communication. Cool down. The cool down brings out your sensuality. It uses an equal ratio of 10 to 10 with a strong Ujjayi on the inhale and a Brahmi on the exhale. Equal ratio breathing regulates the autonomic nervous system, which stimulates the ventral vagal complex and promotes a feeling of safety and freedom. The shared audible breath encourages openness and communication and lowers inhibitions. Both Ujjayi and Brahmi continue to affect the mind and body in the ways expressed in the previous exercises. Continue the breath for approximately 10 cycles or until you feel you have achieved your goal for the sequence.